Hello, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Lovers Podcast. It's me, your host, Brock Marucci, as always. With me, as always, is my co host, Hunter Nisey. Hunter, how are you doing?
Oh, Mr. Brock, I am fantastic, sir. I'm really happy to be here once again. I'm always excited to be on the show here with you. And we've got such such a great episode on deck for you today.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm really looking forward to it, especially for our guest here as well.
All right, yeah, and we have our special guest, a returning member of, of the Sports Lovers Podcast, fan of the show, friend of the show, Kyler Malott. Kyler, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brock. Glad to be here. Excited to be talking baseball again. It's been a few months since the MLB playoffs. So I'm excited to be talking some. I don't want to spoil it. You guys can go over what we're talking about, but I'm excited to be here.
But yeah, if Kyler's here, he's our baseball expert. We're going to be talking some MLB. After our great podcast where all of our predictions for the MLB playoffs came true, we didn't say a single thing that was wrong. Everything went our way. For this episode, we're going to be talking the MLB rule changes. We'll talk a little bit of free agency. We'll talk about everyone's mixed feelings about free agency. But there's been a number of rule changes. I want to focus on the big three, or what I consider to be the big three here, and that is that there's going to be bigger bases, there's going to be a pitch clock, and they are banning the shift. Now, the first one, of these three, Hunter Nisley, which one do you think is the best one?
Which one do I think is the best one?
Or sure, like which one do you look at and you go, that's a good change here? What one do you like?
I like them all, actually.
Okay,
I
nice.
like I like I like every single one. I'll the first two bigger bases. I think it's kind of a no-brainer for me personally. Pitch clock, from everything I have heard from other baseball players, other baseball analysts, it has been successful in the minor leagues for the most part. Seems like the right idea there too. Um, but when it comes to banning the shift, I was originally very anti banning the shift because the way I looked at it was, this is like telling a basketball team you can't play zone or something, or you can't adjust your defense. And my thought process was, these guys are professionals, they're major leaguers. If a team is shifting so dramatically against them, you know, why can't they learn to just hit the ball left field, or you know a slap bunt, something. And I don't necessarily, uh, I would say I still somewhat believe in that, but the more I thought about it, the ultimately this change is for more offense, which is going to please more fans. And at the end of the day, MLB wants to be more popular. They want to be more popular, especially with younger people, children, people in their 20s, people in their 30s, because younger people just haven't generally been super interested in baseball like they were in the past. Um, and this, banning the shift, it's going to allow left-handed hitters to get on base more. It's gonna offer there's going to be more runs. There's going to be more home runs. There's going to be more, you know, doubles. There's going to be more line drives that don't get caught by the second baseman sitting halfway into right field. Uh, I do think it's a positive. And especially because I like that Major League Baseball is not afraid to make a big change like this. A lot of leagues are super afraid to change anything because they don't want to, you know, piss off older fans, or they don't want to alienate anybody. They don't want to have anything affect record books, anything like that. Um, we see it in the NBA. They're very hesitant to make, rule changes or schedule changes, whatever it may be that might help the flow of the game or help keep guys healthy, whatever it may be. They are so gradually changing things. But in the MLB, if this doesn't work, they can just change it back. They can just say, "Hey, shift wherever the hell you want, like go crazy." I at least give them props for just for trying, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I I had a similar thought. I wanted to ask you guys, like, when it comes to the shift. Now, I've never played. I don't even know how to hit a baseball. I'm gonna be honest. I barely know how to swing a bat. I didn't even play, little league baseball. Like that's how little baseball I've ever played in my life. But I was like, and, it's easier said than done. But surely, isn't there some way you could just not hit it into the shift? But I was wondering, Kyler, like, do you as a former pitcher, like, do you have any insight on that? Did you have any thoughts on that, or what's that like?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I only played in college, and didn't ever we didn't ever shift the way that MLB teams shift, like putting three guys on the right side of the infield, and one of them is like just in front of the right fielder. You know, we didn't do that. We did move guys, uh, and so like from a defensive standpoint, you get like you understand the shifts are happening, and hitters' tendencies. So at first, it's like, well, that's such for defenses because you're now taking strategy away. Like you can't have this strategy, like Hunter said, like telling an NBA team how they can defend if they want to play zone or not. They can't play zone, that kind of thing. But it, I really feel like it's not gonna have as much of an effect as we think it might. So, like the names that come to mind, probably same for you both, is Joey Gallo and Cody Bellinger, who are two left-handed pull guys that just don't know how to hit the ball to left field. Um, but even like I don't know, it's so hard. These guys are throwing 95 plus with wipe out everything, and so yes, you can definitely learn to go oppo more. And so like we could have easily just said like MLB, the hitters need to just learn to do that, but um, I think that's true to an extent. But I think that like Hunter said, MLB not being afraid to try this, I think it could work out, and it gives more athleticism back in the game. So like a second baseman actually has to be a second baseman, and a shortstop has to be a shortstop and make those plays. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like as a pitcher from a defensive standpoint, initially it's like, well, that you might lose some outs now because the shift is no longer in place. But I think it will. It will be good overall, and I don't. We probably will see more like left-handed averages are going to be higher because they're going to get the signals into right field and that kind of thing. But I liked the move overall. I initially did not like the move because I didn't understand why you would not just make the hitters, adjust, but to give the fans more offense. It will be exciting. And the shift, there's like the nuances with it too, because you can stand, have to have 2 feet on the dirt, but like the shortstop can be, just a hair on the left side of second base. And I don't know, do we know if like as soon as the pitch is thrown he can move, or what is that like? We know what that is?
I couldn't find any details on as far as like
Yeah.
when that happens.
Okay.
I assume that they would be like they have to wait until the ball is hit. I assume.
Yeah. Okay. Well, even so, if you're the shortstop and you are just on the left side of second base, then, immediately you can make that move to the right side of the infield. So I think there will be a lot of different strategies on how teams use this. There still will be shifting in a sense of players will be moving around, but I think it will create some more exciting plays, especially in the infield, making the diving plays and whatnot, but also adding the offense. So I'm with it.
Yeah, I remember when it was first announced, they were like banning the shift is like saying in football like you can't play too high safeties because the quarterback can't make the throw. It's like, well, that's the whole point. Like we're doing this
Yeah.
to stop them. I think Hunter brings up a great point of like trying something new because in a sport like this, whenever you try something new, you change the rules. A lot of times, like some the somebody has to take the fall here in terms of like okay, this hurts the pitcher or this hurts the batter, this hurts the fielder. Something like you have to do something that kind of maybe doesn't put somebody at a disadvantage per se, but they don't have what they had before. But I do, in the long run, I do think it is something that will help. And like Niza said, like if it doesn't work, like yeah, just change it back. What's the big deal? I thought when they first said the pitch clock, I was immediately like, that is the worst thing I've ever heard. I've warmed up to it now, but dude, I was like, when they first said that, I was like, dude, that's ridiculous. Like one of the things, and I mean, this is still there, but one of the best things, and also what ends up being the worst thing for baseball, is that in baseball, like you have to win or you have to get out of the inning somehow. Like you can't run down the clock. So if it's the bottom of the ninth and you need to strike one more guy out to win, or if he brings a runner home, they tie it up or take the lead. Well, you can't just go, well, I'm going to wait until 30 seconds runs out or do something like that. It's like, well, no, you have to put your best guy in and he has to get the job done, or somebody has to get the job done.
Yep.
But on the other side of it, I have to admit, is that if you're watching a pretty boring game of baseball where no one can get out, it's just like it could go on forever. Like in theory, an inning of baseball, or like not the whole inning, but that half of the inning could go on forever if no one can get out. So the pitch clock, I think, will be helpful. There's definitely going to be, thankfully the MLB season is long, because there's going to be a lot of ironing out with these rules. Like the pitcher, like the pitch clock, okay, yeah, speed up the pitcher a bit, but the pitcher can't do anything until the batter gets in the batter box. So is there eventually going to be a batter's clock? Like, what's that going to be like? And is the pitcher going to be penalized if the batter likes to walk up and check his gloves and then check his bat and then check his, knee pad? And are they going to be able to do that after every single pitch? So again, they're going to have to figure that out. But I do think now the pitch clock would be better. I went to an Altoona Curve game, and they had a pitch clock, and it I didn't even notice it. I wasn't sitting here like, oh, this pitch clock is dumb, it's getting in the way. It was like, it felt natural and helped the game out. And so giving if the pitcher does not pitch in time, which is they have 15 seconds with no runners on base, 20 seconds with runners on base. If they do not get the pitch off, it's going to be a ball for the team at bat. So yeah, I think positive things for the pitch clock. Any strong thoughts for the pitch clock from you guys?
I agree with you. I think the pitch clock is going to work really well, especially it'll help just how long a baseball game is. And I mean, I don't really mind watching a 3-hour baseball game or a 3.5-hour baseball game, but the casual fan, that's a pretty long time to be really tuned into anything. And it's worked well in the minor leagues, and even last year in the majors, we saw the pace of games and the amount of time that games were lasting was starting to fall a little bit as well. Now, especially come playoff time, there are times when there are 4-hour or longer baseball games without the pitch clock, which so that's why they implemented when you bring in a reliever, they have to face a minimum of 3 batters, because they were just when you got past the 6th inning there for a couple of years, they were just bringing in a reliever for every lefty or every righty that they were facing. So I think overall, I think it'll be successful. We'll see officially this year, but I don't think it's really gonna. I don't think the players are really gonna mind that much about it.
Yeah, I reading some of this, so notes from the minor league games with this rule implemented, it's shortened games by about 26 minutes on average, which is it's almost half an hour, right? Chunk of time to shorten games. I don't know that it'll shorten MLB games as much, because it's Major League Baseball and just a lot more going on and whatnot, but I still think it will help. Reading through some of this other stuff, so a pitcher is charged with a ball if violates the timer. If a batter violates the timer, they're charged with a strike. What is that?
See, yeah.
What is the batters? Is that like at the discretion of the ump, or do they have a certain timer to get back in the box, or is that like walking up to the plate? Because walking up is 30 seconds. between hitters.
Maybe it's the 30 seconds, but like I said, that's one of the things they might just have to figure out on the fly or iron out as the season goes.
I'm pretty sure it's always been at the discretion of the umpire, because I'm pretty sure umpires are just telling they're telling batters like, hey, get back in the box, get back in the box. So that's probably going to continue to be at the discretion of the home plate umpire. But there is a timer, 30 seconds between batters, and then 15 nobody on base, 20 for people on base. I initially hated this rule because as a pitcher, I felt like this was just completely taking away the cat-mouse game with runners on base. Obviously, with nobody on base, I don't think there's a huge issue at all. But when runners get on base, I thought this was I originally thought it was really dumb. But then I started reading the rules of how they are trying to work with that. Because obviously you want to be able to still maintain runners. And if you're telling a pitcher, like, you got to throw this within 20 seconds, no exceptions, then how are you even going to hold runners on base? But you're allowed 2 disengagements or pickoff attempts per plate appearance, which I feel like is plenty if you are strategic about it. Like, pitchers would... I've seen guys throw over like 4 times in a row and nothing ever happens and that kind of thing. But if you're a more strategic, you got to it's going to challenge the pitchers to really know the runners and the coaching staff to really know the runners now. But I like that they put that in so that it still allows the defense and the pitcher and the catcher to control that run game a little bit. But if the third pickoff attempt is made, the runner automatically advances. And it also changes if you pick off once or twice to first and then the runner steals on the third pitch or on that first pitch that's thrown, you then get 2 more disengagements from the rubber. So if a runner advances. So it really, I think that's a good addition to this rule. I think it will speed up the game. I'm curious on guys like, so I'm a Red Sox fan, and we just signed Kenley Jansen. Yeah, so we'll see how the Sox are this year. But we just signed Kenley Jansen, who takes forever between pitches, and so I'm just wondering, like, these older guys that have never experienced this, I don't even know if, like, is Kenley gonna be a good pitcher still? Like, is he gonna be a good closer?
He's going to take his 15 or 20 seconds every time.
Oh yeah,
every time.
He's squeezing it out.
He's like the center in football snapping the ball when the clock's been on 0 for one or 2 seconds, and then they just allow it. But yeah, like those kinds of guys. And the talk has been in general the older guys that are used to MLB the way it was before these rule changes. How are they going to adapt? Because all the guys that are coming up that's played in the minor leagues, they've had these rules in some way, so they are kind of familiar with it. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if, like, younger pitchers are giving advice to veteran guys because of this changes and like the routine changes and like how they can cope. Like, is Kenley going to be talking to oh my God, what's his name? Bayo, right? Brian Bayo about like, hey man, what's your in between? Like, how do you I don't know, that kind of stuff. But it'll be cool to see stuff like that and see if those younger guys are more involved. And they usually are. Like, teams, clubhouses are all really close. But on this kind of stuff, it'll be interesting to see.
Kyler, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever pick anybody off in college?
Did I? Yeah, that was... Well, that's the reason, like, I was frustrated with this rule because, like, one of the things that I felt that I was pretty good at was controlling the run game. So, when I was like, why would they... Like, this is going to really screw with pitchers. Like, there's no cat and mouse.
You're a lefty, too, so that helps. That's a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, so... It was something that I thought I was pretty good at, and so to see that change in MLB, and I was like, I've tried to learn from those guys' moves. Like Clayton Kershaw's move is one of the best. So like those kinds of guys, and I've tried to watch their moves. And now I originally was like, there will be no pickoffs anymore, but with the nuance in that rule, which is good. So yeah, picking off runners very fun, very fun.
Now, Kyler, you saying about the younger guys talking to the older guys, a scenario just popped into my head. Okay, picture this. You're a young player. You've just made your way through the minor leagues. You've just been called up to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay.
And former World Series pitcher Madison Bumgarner is having a tough time with the new rules. He comes to the dugout very flustered, very frustrated. And you're a young guy who just says, "Hey, Mad Bum, so here's what's really going." Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to get to. Exactly. You walk up to me, "Hey, Mad Bum, so here's what you're doing wrong. Here's the right thing." And he's just sitting there, and he just goes, and looks right at you. Imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. That is.
That's the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, imagine some young dude just like talking to Mad Bum, like, "Okay, man, like there's 15 seconds, then there's going to be 20 seconds," and he's just like staring a hole through you.
Yeah. These young guys should definitely know. Do not speak up unless you're asked. Like that's more what I was getting at. I will never. It's like, do you think that you can approach Mad Bum and and talk to him about how to handle this pitch clock thing? You'll get the eyes, dude. Like he's big country. He does not want to be messed with.
He's big
I would
country.
especially guys like him. I would never approach. But yeah, like I think there will still be a level of superiority in the veterans. It's just a matter of the veterans being like, "Man, what am I doing here? Tell me out. Like, what do you do?" Yeah.
This ain't my
Not my MLB. Not what I grew up watching. All right, I think that's all I have on the pitch clock. Do you guys have any other thoughts for the pitch clock?
I think we're good. I'm good.
I think also it could be fun with the crowd. Like if you're at the away team, and the crowd, like you're gonna pitch, and the crowd can just be like counting down, maybe like. So that could be interesting. Anyway.
Ooh, yeah, that will be
cool.
That'll be a big deal. That's definitely gonna happen. Places like Atlanta and New York. Whoa, oh my God, be terrible.
Yeah, similar to maybe like in basketball, if a guy takes a lot of like for a free throw, if he like dribbles a bunch, like they could count how many times he dribbles. That could be fun for the crowd. So far, like feeling pretty good about the rule changes. And then the last one here we got this one really confused me when I first saw it. I still kind of confused me. We're getting bigger bases. The bases are going from 15 inches to 18 inches, and that's like they're just expanding outward. Like it isn't getting like longer or wider or whatever. It's just expanding outward. I don't know. I kind of understand it more, but I was wondering if you guys could like. I have a few takes. I was wondering like when you guys saw this, what were you like? Oh, that's great, or were you confused? Like what did you guys think about this rule?
From everything I saw, it's just safer for the players, and there was some talk of at least at first base, like in softball, they have the second base there specifically for base runners. And that way, if you don't get tripped up with first baseman or pitchers trying to cover things like that. From everything I have read and everything I've heard from other people, it's just for the most part just a safety change, and it should benefit everybody.
Yeah, probably with like if it's a close play at like first base, maybe guys have a little bit more room. They aren't stepping on each other's feet or whatever, stepping on each other's ankles probably. It looks like at first,
especially in those spikes, that's not fun.
First, I thought they were changing home plate. It looks like home plate isn't changing, which I like. There's been a lot of controversy, especially recently, with the whether the catcher is blocking if it's a close play at home. So I was like, okay, maybe they're just giving the runners a little bit more room to help both sides just work it out. But home plate's not changing, so that's kind of where I get the safety thing. I think that makes sense, but I was like, why not make home plate a little bigger too, maybe, or help, change that out, because like baseball is an interesting sport also in that like you have to give your opponent room. Like in football, it's like you stop that guy. You know, there's certain things you can't do, but it's like, you know, you don't have to give him room to get into the end zone. Your job is to stop him completely. You know, same thing with like if a guy's going up for a layup in basketball, it's not, oh, give them a lane for it. Again, you're trying to stop that lane. And I'm not for. I do not like the catchers just getting trucked. Like, there's been some great clips, I'll be honest, but like, I don't really think that's fair for the catcher to be like, okay, yeah, you put on pads, but here's like this just massive individual running as fast as he can. He's just gonna plow through you. Like, so I'm not for that, but I definitely think they could have. That's what I thought this was all going to be about. Is what I'm trying to say. It's just making that a little easier on whether it's blocking or not.
Yeah, I think the Hunter talked about the safety, but the catcher, I think it's illegal now, right? To truck catchers, you can't like hit stick them anymore, right?
Yeah,
you got to make an attempt to slide.
That's
Okay.
the Buster Posey rule.
Yes, yeah. So with that in place, the only thing, like, I don't know if you guys have an idea on this, but like
No, I have no idea. Please tell me.
it's either third base or home is the least like force play. Probably home is the least force play. I guess base that is used. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like having more force plays at third, second, and first makes more sense to just expand those. Home state. Well, if you expand home plate,
An advantage for pitchers then.
it's an advantage for pitchers. Yeah, wider. I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, it's 17 inches, so that's probably why they. That seems like. It's probably like insignificant to some people to be like, we'll just make it a little wider, but in baseball world, that's probably like a huge rule change. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if making
it longer
would change the strike zone. Taller. It probably wouldn't change the strike zone, right?
I wouldn't think so.
It's still 17 inches wide, so yeah, I don't. That would be the only way they could change it, is probably make it a little bit longer. But
I didn't even think about that.
That's where I feel like that's where home plate's at. But the safety thing is huge. First basemen are not going to feel like they're going to get trampled, at least as much. There's probably still going to be collisions due to bad throws up the line. Like that's inevitable. It's going to happen. But really protecting everyone at every base gives a little bit more room for runners to slide. And I know that like 3 square inches doesn't seem like much, but in a game of inches, it's going to be a big deal, I think.
Yeah.
And I also like the idea of potentially more stolen bases because of the bigger bases. Again, game of inches, I just looked it up. It said 4.5 inches closer from first to second now because of the base change. But that, like, we've seen tags where it's like frame by frame and the runner is a frame behind, and now it's going to be they're going to steal those bags. So I feel like producing more, along with a shift change, now we got more offense, we got more action on the bases. The disengagement rules from the pitch, they all kind of intermingle, I guess. They intertwine, these rules, huh? Yeah. But I think it's going to be cool. And the safety is the biggest thing. So excited to see just guys stay healthier, less collisions. That's really what they're aiming for. But the base stealing potentially could find its way back in the game again, more so than not. So I don't know. We got Whit Merrifield. Whit Merrifield, the stolen base leader last year?
In the American League, I think so.
I'm gonna say yes, okay. Buddy. You got it.
Hey, with bigger bases, do you think a bigger base prevents Will Craig from chasing? I believe it was Javi Baez back down the line to home when he didn't need to. And do you think a bigger base prevents that, even though the throw was 10 feet away from the base?
I don't think. I think that is still user error on the part of the first baseman. And
bigger bases, it doesn't help the Pirates. Doesn't help a Bucco fan either. So, yeah, I'm against it.
Who's Will Craig? Don't even know him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Hey, he plays in Japan now.
I only know G-Man Choi, bro.
I only know Nagowski. I don't even remember his first
John
name.
Nagowski.
Yeah. I saw him play.
Hey, Bucko legend, Cardinal legend.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that does not change anything. You could probably make it a whole foot bigger. He probably still tries to chase down Javi Baez and then throw it to the catcher. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think it would be cool though. Like, obviously, you're gonna have the stubborn people who are like, "This is how it was before, and I want it to be like this for the rest of my life." But I think it'll be fun. You know, opening day, you go into the park, and it looks a little different on the field. The bases are a little bigger. There's no shift. You got the pitch clock, so that's kind of like some nice, visual things to change it up and help make it a little bit more interesting. Now, my last question before we move on to anything else is there, outside of these rules we just talked about, is there anything like you wish the MLB would do to help? Like, is there something you're like, MLB should do this? This would be really helpful. I can go first if no one has an idea. All right, I've just been told I'm going first.
You take it away, Brock.
The first thing I think of for the MLB is like, you have to get on TV. Like, too often, I remember 1 year on opening day. It's like, oh, it's opening day. Here comes baseball. None of the games are on regular television. Now, at the time we had cable, so they gave us a free preview of like all the teams, like specific channels. So that was cool. But without that, there will be days like there's like 10 games of baseball and none of them are on TV. I think one of the advantage now, I know there's different deals with contracts with TV channels and whatnot, or who can do what, but like college football is popular. It's an exciting sport, but you can watch it. You can watch on Saturday, you can watch the biggest names, or you can watch Colorado State and Grambling State or something like that. So I think first off, you need to make sure people can watch the product. I think they have made a few changes with I think NBC. I think they've made a deal with NBC or somebody for better streaming rights, but just that's the first thing I think of is like, make sure people can watch the game. And I also remember someone tweeting like, all the other sports are over, it's just baseball for a couple months, and hey, that's great, wish I could watch it, really just want to watch it. But my second issue, and I'll admit I don't really have a solution for this one, but one issue with baseball is that the pros, they're too good. Which is like, if a guy throws a 99-mile-an-hour fastball and the batter, he fouls it off. I'm going to speak from, I like baseball, but I would imagine most people who don't, I've never played baseball, and I feel like a lot of people watch it, they go, oh yeah, he fouled it off. But it's like, no, dude, that's crazy. He fouled 99 miles an hour. That's crazy. But something about it all seems too easy. It's not, but they're too good to the point that it looks a little too easy. That the stuff that you watch a football game and a guy jumps up for a catch and gets hit and it's like, oh, that was really hard. But something about, in my humble opinion, when a guy is just fouling off, even not even 99, even 85 or 90, that's still impressive. So yeah. I think that's one more thing, and I'll let you go, Kyler. That's tough. There's nothing you can really do about that. You can't say get worse or whatever. But I just think watching it, they're good, but it's hard to tell, or it's the average person. I think it's oh yeah, they would always do that, I assume.
Yep. So when you say that, immediately comes to mind is I'm watching Hunter Green in one of his first starts for the Reds, and he's blowing hundreds consistently, and he throws a fastball that's probably middle, but it's up and top of the zone, maybe right above the zone. And it's 101, 101. And Matt Olson turns that shit around and puts it 420 dead center. And I'm just mind blown. But the average fan who just sees that and doesn't really listen to and even the commentators were not expressing how crazy that was. It doesn't look crazy. He just fastball was thrown, he just hits it. But to see that it was 101, and the commentators are just Matt Olson, homers to center off Hunter Green. Oh, it was 101 miles per hour. But I don't know. I don't know if that. I mean, not to shit on commentators, but the average fan will see that and, like you said, just kind of be oh, he just hit that ball out.
That's what they do. That's their job.
Yeah, it made it look easy. Yeah, you're right. It's really hard to combat that because it's not easy at all. It's just baseball is one of those sports where you have to convince people that this shit is really, really hard. And if they don't believe it, then they don't believe it. But yeah, that's where I went. But I do have, if you want to keep talking that, we can. But
Well, I just had I had a few more things I was gonna add, and then I can turn it over to you guys. But like, I even remember watching fairly recently. I watched this interview with Tim Tebow, who you know, college football legend, played in the NFL, and then also had a brief stint in the minor leagues. And they asked him, they said, "Okay, Tim, what's harder, playing football or hitting a baseball?" And Tim Tebow was like, "Okay, well, who's pitching?" And they said, "Okay."
yeah,
They said Jacob DeGrom's pitching, and he said hitting a baseball is impossible. Like he's like, if I have to hit a ball off of Jacob DeGrom, that is impossible. And they were, I remember when before Tim Tebow, it was like his first game in the minor leagues. People were like, "Oh, do you think he's gonna get on base?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's gonna get on base. What do you mean? Like people get on base all the time." But that's because, and again, like that's my casual mind. That's not my experienced mind. Like it's like that's like saying, "Oh, do you think a team in football will get a first down?" It's like, yeah, they're gonna get a first down, but it's much harder than that. Which again, getting a first down is also hard as well. But that's just the only thing I could think of. And again, you don't. This just kind of circles back to what we were talking about earlier. It was like when you change rules, somebody who's too good or was doing the job too well gets punished. And I remember I watch a lot of John Boy Media, and they have like their own like wiffle ball and blitzball league, and their rule is that like they usually do like two people to a team and they play smaller games, and then one person usually pitches the whole time. Well, now they changed it so that both people have to pitch, so the less experienced person has to pitch, and that adds a layer of tension to it. But again, how could you, like, there's no logical way you could add that to a game and just tell every team like, oh yeah, okay, well after Jacob DeGrom pitches, you're gonna have to put out you're gonna have to put out Pete Alonso. Yeah, Pete Alonso's gonna have to pitch a few innings for you, which would be, I think, would be like really fun. But again, there's no logical way for you to just add that to the game.
Yeah.
So those are my two things. Yeah. Did you guys think of anything you'd like to see the MLB change or anything anything like that?
I would kind of follow a little bit in your footsteps with you talked about like not being able to watch games, like opening day. The marketability of Major League Baseball is certainly lacking. And you had mentioned about how there's a time period where it is only baseball. Like there are no other sports on for like 3 months, 2.5 months or so. Like baseball should dominate the summer.
Yeah, push
There's
baseball.
there's no reason that they shouldn't be absolutely crushing June, July, August. They've implemented a couple of things. Like, of course, the All-Star game is in July every year. Like that's always fun, and home run derby and whatnot. But that's like two nights of baseball that people are locked in. They've added the Field of Dreams game. They have the Little League World Series Classic as well, but they're just like singular games, and that's it. Like, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to absolutely dominate July 4th, and or the weekend around July 4th, and that they shouldn't have. There should be just more during All-Star weekend, maybe, or just there should be more marketability. And you get people to tune in for a short period of time, but then it's like, oh, the rest of the summer, they call them the dog days of baseball, where it's the middle of the season and nobody's watching, nobody wants to watch. If your team's 20 games below 500, you're going to stop watching them probably. At least as a casual fan, you probably will. So I would just like to see them take more advantage of the summers of baseball and just make it a little more exciting for everybody.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I actually, just real quick, I wanted to say I checked my email, and I have YouTube TV, and apparently, and they're still kind of working on it, but on YouTube TV I got an email that said they could not work out a contract with the MLB network. But as of right now, if I have YouTube TV, I can't watch the MLB network. So that's one less of like the 4 ways you can watch baseball. That's one less right now. And the blackout stuff, I think, is just like ridiculous.
The blackouts are awful,
dude. Yeah. It's 2023, dude. Let us watch your stupid sport, okay? That's stupid, but yeah.
I hear you. I My one rule change, I don't know if this is like a crazy idea or not. It's not to me, but certainly is to the older population of fans.
Ooh, okay, I'm excited now. Let's hear it.
It is to, I don't have a number in mind.
42.
Probably
Shorten schedule.
100, like 80 or 100. Yes, shorten the schedule.
Yes.
Shorten the schedule.
Big thumbs
It
up.
is unbelievable that we are asking. Like, okay, football is different, I know, because it's constant, like, contact sport.
Yeah.
You play NFL will play what, 20, if you make the Super Bowl, you're playing 21, 22 games a year, or 21, something like that. NBA is what, 82?
Yeah.
82. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just hockey.
Hockey's 8. Yeah, so why are we asking these MLB players to play, especially because we're like complaining about how long the games are and this and that? Well, then like take some load off of them, dude.
Yeah.
Like they don't have any rest time. Like 2 years ago, Marcus Semien played I think he played all 162. But like hardly any guys do that. We will see guys way healthier and probably playing in more games if you're playing closer to 80 to 100 games. The season is long. Keep it that length, like 80 to April to September, October. Keep it that length and just give guys more times to relax or be with their families or literally I don't know,
anything else. Yeah.
go catch a movie on a Tuesday night when it's $5 movie night, dude. Like they have no downtime. Teams will go like a month and play a game every single day for a month plus. It is absurd to me. Like I can't. My longest season, I think we played like 50 games. Maybe was my longest season in college, and that was from beginning of February until mid-May. So like not as long, obviously, but we weren't playing every day. Like we still had time. So I feel like we dehumanize these MLB players, and we're like, you're robots. You play every single day, or if not every, you get 1 to 2 days a month that you don't play. What the fuck? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's terrible. That's so terrible. So that is my rule. That is my proposed rule change. I don't think we'll ever see it. I don't know. I don't want to say that. Maybe we will.
Yeah.
But not for a while. That's my rule change that I would love to see.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think I was reading about it the other day. Actually, they get generally players get 18 off days a season over a 6-month period. They get 18 off days, but that's also not including spring training, which starts generally at the end of February and goes through the entirety of March and maybe a couple of days into April, and then they start their season. That also doesn't include if you make the playoffs. If you make a run in the playoffs, that might take you through the entirety of October. So you might only get 3 months of rest after that, and then you're right back in it, just playing or practicing every single day. And I know I can barely work my 45 hours a week right now, and I get like 9 off days a month. Like, but I don't think I could do it.
You got to go like It's crazy that you're with your team more than you're with your family, or
by far.
It's just
it's not
like
even close.
And the routines, like I was on Twitter and I saw JJ Redick talking about his routine that he had for I think he probably started at Duke and then took it into the NBA for however many years he played. What did he play, like 15 years?
Yeah,
15 years, something like that. So he talked about the cycle, the consistency that he had, and it's the same for every athlete, but with MLB having all these games and these guys are just, I mean, you're literally robots. Like you are programmed to do, I don't know how they don't go psychotic, because it's so much work. And then you only have 3 months to get healthy again and ready for spring training. It's dumb. I think so. But I would keep that 3-month winter, but I would just give them more time during the season. Like I like the baseball spread out. I think that's a cool idea. It's warm enough to play baseball from April to September, early October. So keep doing it, but give them more time. So it's money. Money makes the world go around. So I wonder if, like, obviously you have less ticket revenue, so MLB would take a huge hit. But I feel like it is combated by more time off, less travel, less that teams have to pay for. Right? Am I dumb in thinking that, or?
I have no idea. I don't think it sounds wrong, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ticket sales are so massive, especially in
They're
baseball, because
huge.
there's so many games, and
Yeah.
they're very big stadiums. Like,
Yeah.
a team like the Padres, they're selling out every game.
Yep.
If you take, roughly half of those away, that's just millions and millions of dollars that they're
Yeah.
not getting anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not that it's necessarily right. Like, I agree they shouldn't be playing 162, but the owners would just never do it because they would
Yeah.
just lose. They would just have to. They would cut their team sat. Like, you think the Pirates and the Orioles aren't paying their players now? You wait till there's only 100 games. So that payroll is going to be 15 million instead of
Yeah.
40 million.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see it. I think just to give these people their lives back a little bit. I mean, I know they love baseball, but Jesus,
Yeah.
it's brutal on their bodies. And I feel like, yeah, like I said, I feel like you see Mike Trout play every single game now, and you see those stars. Bryce Harper's playing every single game. Obviously, you'll still have the UCL tears, ACL tears, those kinds of things are going to happen. But, like, oh, he's got a bad back, we're going to give him a week because we got 6 months left to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those happen less if we're just playing a little bit less.
Also, to be fair, like, I mean, who's to say that this would happen? Like, if you snap your fingers and that this would happen, but it's like, again, two different sports. But like college football, you only have there's 12 games. You play 12 games, and even like the middle of the road, schools, and I would even say like in the NFL, like even those middle of the road or lower teams, like people are going to those games, like they love it. I think. Like the smaller that it is, like emphasizes going, because like also for me it's like, oh, I should go to a game. It's like, oh, I have forever to go to this game. It makes it easier to put off. But I think with less, you're like, okay, I really need to make sure that like this is my free time. Like I need to go here. Again, who's to say that anybody would think like that or that would happen? I also agree with like, yeah, that's less money coming in, but. Yeah, that was one that I agree with that though, Kyler, at the end.
Yep.
Okay, and did you guys? It looks like that's all we got for that. Did you guys want to get into the free agency talk? How are you guys feeling about that?
Yeah, I can touch on a little free agency briefly.
Yeah, I'll give my. I'm gonna look through all the free agency deals, and I'll just give my best, what I think my best deal is, and worst, best and worst deal.
Nice.
How about that?
Like I'm gonna hand this over to my great co-host and our special guest because I just free agency. Hey, it's fine. There's some fun ones. I have nothing to say though. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, I'll start, Brock. I heard a rumor that you're anti-player movement and anti-players getting paid, free agency. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on your hatred of guys making money to play baseball somewhere else? Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure.
Fall for this trap.
Sure. I'd first like to start by saying that none of those things you said are true. I have not said or typed either of those things. I'm just saying that when I put on a podcast and they're talking about free agency, I'm like, oh yeah, this is interesting, and then I'm like not listening at all. I don't really care, and I'll admit I only pay attention to the big ones. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm being honest. Like if Aaron Judge had gone to play somewhere else, I'd be talking about that. When Kevin Durant decided to play with the Warriors, I was talking about that. But like when Josh Donaldson went to the Yankees, I was like, yeah, I guess it could help or it couldn't help. That's all I got for you. I mean, like what does McCutcheon is that a free agency thing? So yeah, like that's fun. That's great for the city of Pittsburgh. Like that's cool for us. But I think it puts him in an awkward position of like, well, are you gonna retire a Pirate? Are you gonna play a couple years and then be like, okay, I'm gonna leave again? yeah, those are my, again, like Andrew McCutchen, big name. Like that's about all I got. I don't know. Maybe you guys will bring up a few that I'll be like, oh yeah, that was cool. But yeah, just like the Carlos Correa one. There's kind of an interesting story there. With like we thought he was going to the Giants and then he wasn't. We thought he was going to the Mets and then he wasn't. Then he's going back to the Twins.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. Let's hear some free agency though. But that being said, yeah, players go wherever you want. I encourage make as many super teams as you want, and pay the players as much as you want, and yeah, that's what I got.
Wow, what a statement there, Mr. Brock. Hey, Andrew McCutchen, a bucko once again. I plan on going to opening day to see Andrew McCutchen back in a Pirates uniform. It's going to be a really electric atmosphere. I'm really excited for that. Carlos Correa signed 4 contracts this year for a combined $1 billion, maybe more. I think he's the real winner, even though he's signed a lesser deal.
Dude lost.
Kyler, what's your favorite and least favorite signing if you have it ready?
So on a personal note, my least favorite signing is Xander Bogaerts to the Padres. I love Xander Bogaerts. I do not hate that he went to the Padres. Well, I hate that he went to the Padres. I don't hate him for going to the Padres. I just wish the Red Sox would have ponied up and paid this. But the Red Sox screwed up and didn't sign him. So he goes to the Padres. The Padres, the reason I think he's going to get 11 years. This dude is 29 years old, and I think he'll still be good for a long time, but I don't know that he'll be shortstop caliber talented like he is now. He's going to have to move positions at some point, I feel like. But, I mean, the Padres just outbid everybody for him, and so least favorite move there. But that's kind of on a personal thing. I think he'll still be good for several years. I don't know how long exactly, but not a bad deal. For Xander, he makes a lot of money. So I just had one that I wanted to talk about. Okay, maybe this one. And I love Cody Bellinger. This is probably the worst deal as far as player production to money. He signed him to $17.5 million on a 1-year deal. It's a prove-it deal, but I feel like prove-it deals aren't supposed to be that much money.
No. Where was he signed to?
Cubs. The Cubs signed him.
Well, Cubs are trying to get anything.
Yeah, my thought. I think I talked to Hunter about this, but I was like, I feel like he could get anywhere from like $7 million to $18 million, and he ends up getting $17.5 million. So I'm shocked at that move. Just because I know he's a good defender, but he cannot hit the baseball.
I think they're still
statistically.
waiting for that one good year to come back.
Yeah, I mean, former MVP, got to give him respect for it, but.
Well, everyone found out that he only has one swing. It's to hit it out of the ballpark.
Yeah,
that's all he's got.
Yep. Another bad deal is Mike Clevinger to White Sox. Doesn't look good for him. I didn't read into the story much, but not good. Being accused of several bad things. So they probably did not know that when they signed him, but that's not
still
looking
bad
like
now. Not looking good now.
Yeah, not looking good. I like the Andrew McCutchen deal. Obviously, personal reasons. I think because I think like he can bring that flair back to Pittsburgh, and when he talks to Brian Hayes, and I don't know how long Reynolds will be there, but if he talks to O'Neal Cruz, and they're just like, dude, like you're next up. This is Pittsburgh. This is what Pittsburgh. It's electric. Ern Isley's in the stands for opening day. Like this is what Pittsburgh baseball is going to be like. So I don't know. I think it's cool. Maybe. I think I saw a tweet that said they are projected to have the 17th best lineup, which is almost top half. Almost. So
improvement.
Yeah, that's cool. Really cool. So we'll probably make a bunch of trades at the trade deadline to sell everybody, but I think that Andrew McCutchen will still I hope he will still be there after the trade deadline.
He will be there. It's 100 nicely guaranteed that Andrew McCutchen will be there post trade deadline.
It does help the obviously the Pirates not great for the past few years. They're just a team with like no identity, no face, just like good players but not quite that guy. So I think it does help to just be like, well, let's bring back the old guy and maybe.
Hey, buddy, you've never heard of Kevin Newman? It's one of the best shortstops in all of baseball.
Team,
yeah, exactly. I don't even know.
Okay.
Cole Tucker was the next best up and coming shortstop that is now a AAA ball player for the Diamondbacks.
John Jaso, first base
John
legend.
Yep.
Saw that man hit a home run once.
I'll wrap up my MLB free agency talk with best overall performance team-wise. I think the Phillies nailed it. They went to the World Series, but looked like a fluke year, and then you realize, like, oh, this lineup's actually pretty good, and they've got Wheeler and Nola, and, the staff seems pretty strong. So it's probably one of those teams that could do it again, and then they go out and sign Trey Turner, who's going to be really, really good, I think, for a long time, really consistent. He was my first pick in the fantasy baseball draft last year, and it worked out really well for me. So that's a great sign. They signed Taijuan Walker, who is a pretty solid arm from the Mets. They signed a reliever, Matt Strom from, I think he was with Boston, right? Who is a lefty out of the pen. Phillies need lefties. They signed. Okay, so Craig Kimbrell they signed, and Craig Kimbrell sucks. But he can be good again, I feel like. And if you just put him in the seventh, like, just tell him to work the seventh. You know what I mean? Like, you have just signed Strom, who could be pretty good. You have Dominguez, and Alvaredo's still there, right?
I think,
just let Kimbrell be filthy in the sixth or seventh, and don't worry about it. Maybe the eighth if one of those guys gets a rest. Just don't put him in the closing role, and I think that is a pretty good improvement in the bullpen. So, I don't know any other. I'm scrolling through to see if they signed.
Phillies went to the World Series. We all said that was going to happen in the podcast. We all got that 100% right. Nothing but love for the Philadelphia Phillies here.
Oh, here's one. They signed Josh Harrison, former Bucco, to a deal. Gene Segura's gone. Gene the Hit Machine is gone. Signed with Miami. So they signed Josh Harrison as, I mean, he'll probably be just a utility guy, but he can play anywhere. And he's a high energy guy. That's subjective, Brock. You're just a Gene Segura fan.
I am. I drafted him. He was on my team.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Phillies really hit it out of the ballpark.
Hey,
Phillies, decent offseason. I'll tell you what, nobody had a more interesting offseason, at least in my opinion, than New York Mets. Because they had Carlos Correa, then they didn't, and then they did, and then they didn't. But they did also lose Jacob deGrom, but they also signed Justin Verlander. They signed Jose Quintana. They signed Kodai Senga. They re-signed Brandon Nimmo.
Edwin Diaz is back.
They re-signed Edwin Diaz.
Yeah.
They're poised to be right back up there. Shout out to the Yankees signing Carlos Rodon. I love Carlos Rodon, and I think he just solidifies that Yankees rotation. Arson Judge re-signed with the New York Yankees. He signed for, I believe, for 12 years, which I assume he'll probably be good for 5 to 6 of those, and then he'll be really bad for 6 to 7 of those, if I had to assume. But the biggest L of the year, so for free agency, I was going to say the biggest L is the Chicago White Sox. One, because of Mike Clevenger, which is terrible. They also signed Andrew Benintendi, who I like. Yep. But the issue with that is that the White Sox were like desperate for power in their lineup last year, because if Eloy Jimenez wasn't playing, they weren't hitting home runs ever. They weren't even hitting doubles. They were almost religiously hitting singles, and Andrew Benintendi doesn't help that at all either. But the biggest L in Major League Baseball is the Oakland Athletics. Their big
Yeah.
signing this year, this offseason was Jesus Aguilar,
That's a big
who's
deal, man.
who had a really bad year last year in Miami. He got DFA'd, and it is a comeback year. Even if he's not good, he still might get traded at the deadline. Honestly, the A's might not win 50 games. They are that bad.
They're terrible.
They
Oh
are
my god.
that. They've
I
traded
saw-
They just traded Cole Irvin, who's like
Yeah.
he was like a 4 in most starting rotations. He was essentially their ace coming into this year. Sean Murphy's gone. Of course, they've already gotten rid of Olsen and Chapman the year before. It's rough. The A's are beyond bad. Beyond bad.
Oh my, there was a post on some baseball account that had the best players on each team to watch out for, and the
I don't even know. Tony Kemp? Is he the
it was
best
not
player?
Tony Kemp. It was not Tony Kemp. It was the only other guy on the roster that you would
Jason
know.
Giambi.
Oh man,
Who was it? I couldn't tell you.
But like Sheldon Noose, is he still an Oakland Athletic?
I don't know who that is. It was Ramon Laureano.
Ramon Laureano, yeah.
It's like him and Tony
struggled.
Kemp, and then a bunch of guys that should probably be in AA that are up. Like it's Ramon Laureano, and I'm reading through this list, and it's like Aaron Judge, Rafael Devers. Like every team has that dude, or at least most teams have that dude. And then there's like the Pirates, Reynolds was their guy, and then you get to the Athletics, and it's like Ramon Laureano, and it's like, wow, 2 years ago.
It might be historically bad. Like this might be literally the worst professional, at least Major League Baseball team ever assembled. They are that bad.
They're terrible.
I'm not
so
kidding.
bad.
Like they might win 45 games. It's going
So
to be.
sad.
There's going to be nobody at those games. It's going to be a ghost town.
Yep.
They're going to come out, and I saw a tweet that said, "What if we give the A's 2 runs to start every game? How many wins did they have?" And like the general consensus was they might win 70 games if they get a 2-run lead to start every game. That's how bad the A's are. People don't even think they'll go 500 if they start up 2-0 every single game.
Yep.
They're atrocious.
Well, part of the plan, man, they're going to move to Las Vegas, become the Las Vegas Athletics, sell everything, and yeah.
Rest in peace to Oakland, man. Oh, man.
Sad.
They lost the Warriors. They lost the Raiders. They're going to lose the A's. They're going to have nothing. It's really sad, but God, I hope the A's get out of there, man. At this rate, Jesus, man, this is bad.
I watched last year. I don't know, maybe just because again, I'm just looking for any baseball game that's on. I think they put an A's game on the MLB Network. Now, some people do show up, but they play in that big stadium. They keep that camera as zoomed in as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are not doing any big shots of the ballpark. Like they'll show a little bit of where people are, but they're trying their best not to show just how empty it is. There even was I don't know if this was ever confirmed, but I know last year there was some extracurricular activities that the fans got into at one of the games last year.
Yep.
Like, because it's just like one person, like way far up. Well, 2 people, I guess. But but yeah, maybe it'll be just like the movie Moneyball. They have they created an equation, an algorithm to win all these games.
What if? For their sake, I hope it is.
If the A's win 60 games, what do you want?
What do I want?
I'll do whatever. If the A's win 60 games, I think there's a 0% chance they do.
Wow, we'll have to go to an A's game, I guess.
Oh my gosh, 0%.
You want to watch
0%
a boring
chance.
baseball game? You put on the Athletics, dude. Like,
honestly, I'm gonna be locked in now. They're so bad that it's gonna be entertaining.
We'll have to do halfway through the season at the All-Star break. We'll have to see how the A's are doing, but
a little flashback to this conversation here. Just a little check in on the A's when they're 9-47.
Ugh.
They
Oh my.
they haven't.
What are they? What is that? Ricky Henderson Field? Is that where they play? Is that
I
what
believe
they
that's the
call it?
name. Yeah.
Is it at the Coliseum?
Yeah,
It's so sad, man.
they're
They
gonna
had the
have
Bash
to do.
brothers.
They're gonna have to. Yeah, the
The
Bash
Henderson.
Brothers. They're gonna have to do
Play ball
another.
team.
They're gonna have to do another free game. Do you guys remember years ago the A's did a game where you could
Yeah.
go for free, like
Yep.
and then that filled up, because it was a free game. They might have to do that again.
Mhm.
Might
Yeah.
make more money that way.
Yeah.
Yep, more,
At least
more
they'll probably
sales
sell
of
some concessions.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
the food.
Yeah. They sell 1,000 tickets a game.
Who do you
this
think
year.
averages more games or average fan attendance is higher? The Athletic A's, or sorry, the A's, or the State
They're
College,
not athletic. I tell you what.
or the State College Spikes.
I'm not even
Um,
kidding you. The Spikes might rival them in attendance this year. Literally, and like if they actually count the amount of people in the ballpark and not just the tickets sold,
Sure. Yeah.
like the State College Spikes, not even the draft league baseball team, they fill that stadium sometimes. Like that place gets
Hey,
bumping.
Belfont Night gets her going, baby.
Yeah,
yeah.
that place gets bumping.
Rocking.
Oakland hasn't been bumping in a little while, and I promise you, it won't be this year. It will not be.
I
No
remember.
praise.
I remember when the Warriors, they were on their championship runs in Oakland, and they're on every sports show. It's like, man, you're at the Oracle Arena. It's rocking. It's crazy, dude. It's like a library where the Athletics play. You're sitting at the Athletics game, just listening to the Oracle Arena, just going nuts. Like,
Oh my god.
Crazy,
gosh.
man.
yeah,
It's really sad, but it's like a car crash. You can't look away. Like you just gotta.
just keeps getting
Ugh.
worse.
Yep, keeps getting worse. Sucks.
All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for me. That's all I've got to say. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to say for the upcoming MLB season, or any thoughts on the rules or anything else like that?
Man. Shout out Buccos. Shout out McCutcheon. Don't shout out the A's or the White Sox.
Look, the Buccos. I do one more thing. Like the Buccos, like I don't think they're going to be that much better than they were last year. But at least they have have a guy. Okay, at least they have some, like, McCutcheon. Like that's why I'm going to.
Now here's a guy.
Here's a guy. But dude,
It's gonna be fun. It's a fun lineup.
It's fun.
It'll
Exactly.
probably be
At least
dismantled
the-
by the All-Star break, but it'll
At
be
least the
fun.
Pirates are fun for like 2 months a year. The A's are not.
No.
They're really not.
alrighty.
They aren't.
Well, I think that about wraps it up from us. Thank you, Kyler, for joining us again. We'd love to have you back on at some time.
Sure.
I am your host, Brock, and signing off of the Sports Lovers Podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.